What's good, family? Flavor Fest Urban Leadership Podcast, back in the mix. It's your guy, Tommy, Pastor Urban D. Kyllonen from Crossover Church down in Tampa, Florida. Just came to spend a couple of minutes with y'all today. Give y'all some stuff that we've been learning, some things that we've been doing the past number of months, even in 2022. It's been an amazing year at Crossover Church, and a lot of people come to the Flavor Fest Leadership Conference to learn from what we're doing and some other incredible practitioners that we have that are doing ministry in the city in a multi-ethnic environment, that are doing a lot of outreach and whatnot. And so we're going to get into it today. I'm going to share some stuff that we've been doing, but welcome to the Flavor Fest Urban Leadership Podcast. We're live. You could jump in the chat, talk to me a little bit. We'll do some Q&A. So here we go. Let's go. Welcome to the Flavor Fest Urban Leadership Podcast, where we talk to innovative artists, creative pastors, church planners, entrepreneurs, and people creating movements. Our goal is to inspire and equip you in ministry, music, and the marketplace. I'm your host, Tommy Urban D. Kyllonen. What's good, family? It's Tommy Urban D from Crossover Church. Just wanted to jump on here today and talk to you guys for a little bit. Of course, I'm super excited about Flavor Fest. If you've been paying attention to our social media, Flavor Fest or Crossover or myself, Urban D 813, you've been starting to hear about Flavor Fest. We've been talking about it a lot the last couple of weeks, been putting up a lot of posts of some of the speakers and some of the artists that are coming. And man, it's going to be an incredible year. This year will actually be 22 years since we first started Flavor Fest. It's crazy, 22 years. Now, we didn't do it every single year. There was a few years that we took off for a season there. We were kind of doing Flavor Fest like we were doing it like every other year. But now we are back. We're doing it every year now. We know the need is super strong for every single year. So we are on it every single year. We're going to be doing Flavor Fest. And so this is, I think, our 19th year to do the conference. Number 19, man. I can't believe it's been that long, man. I'm officially turning into an OG. But listen, if you don't know about Flavor Fest, go to flavorfest.org and get some of the details. Here's some of the speakers that we have this year. We got my guy Scott Free, pastor from Crossover Church, ATL, also the tour pastor from Maverick City. So you might have been seeing him. He's been traveling all over with Maverick City. We got a guy named Jarrell Flowers, who's going to be coming from Texas. We also got Brian Trejo, Brian T. His wife Monica is going to be sharing as well in one of the sessions. Speaking of wives, we got my wife. She's going to be sharing in one of the sessions as well. We've got Michael Carrion from New York City. He's from City to City. It's a church planting organization birthed out of Tim Keller's church, Redeemer. He's going to be in the building. The Truth is going to be sharing in one of the general sessions. My guy, Myron Pierce, he's a pastor, an entrepreneur, has an incredible story. He's going to be with us as well. Jerome Verling from Lansing, Michigan. They have an amazing church up there that's doing incredible things. I just got to speak there a little bit over a month ago, and God is moving up there. Who else? Maddie Ray. She's going to be speaking as well in one of the general sessions. We're going to do this thing called 7 on 7. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be hot. 7 speakers, 7 minutes. You just got to see it. It's going to be dope. Then in addition, we got on Saturday at the general session, we got a classic OG, more of an OG even than me. He's a little bit older than me. We got the Ambassador coming from the Cross Movement. The Ambassador has new music coming out this year, and he's getting out and speaking and doing music and teaching in a lot of different settings. And so super grateful that he's getting back in the mix. And so he got to come down to Tampa about 6 months ago. We got to spend a little bit of time together, me, him, and KB. And we're excited to have him come back to Flavor Fest. It's been some years since he's been around. So, man, that's the lineup of speakers, lineup of artists. Some of the artists, we got Bizzle coming this year. We've got D1. We've got 1K Few. We've got Maddie Ray. Ambassador will be doing some music. The Truth has a new album that's dropping as well. We got some new upcoming guys that are really popping now as well. We got Carrie and the Light is coming. He was recently at an event here at Crossover, and man, like he was lit the place up, yo. We got Miles Minnick, Mike Teasy. He was recently here at Crossover as well. We got another OG coming, Soup the Chemist. I mean, that's even way more OG than Ambassador and Cross Movement. Soup the Chemist from SFC. He's actually got some new music coming out, and we want to honor him and bring him back. He's been in Christian hip-hop since the late 80s, man, and really was doing a lot in the 90s. That was kind of like when he was kind of like one of the main leaders. And so we're bringing him out from Cali. And, man, who else? Go to the website because I'm not hitting everybody, and we're still dripping some more out. So, man, it's going to be amazing. October the 6th, that's a Thursday, through the 9th, which is a Sunday. So Thursday night through Sunday morning, and then all day Friday, all day Saturday. It's going to be packed, super packed with a lot of great stuff happening. And so, listen, I want to talk to you guys for a couple of minutes. You might have saw the title of this, and it grabbed your attention, of this podcast. A lot of times we have another guest on here, but today it's just me. I wanted to talk to y'all for just a couple of minutes and talk about some of the stuff we're going to be discussing at Flavorfest. Flavorfest, a lot of people know it for the music. It's a music festival. It is. It's really one of the biggest and the longest standing in the Christian hip-hop arena. And I'm super grateful and honored that we get to connect people and train people and teach people. Over 5,000 people have been trained at the conference. So conference, much more than a festival, it's a conference. It's a time of learning, and that's the main reason we do it. The concerts are just the icing on the cake. The meat of it, the cake, is that's the conference, and that happens during the day on Friday and Saturday. We have several general sessions. We have 7 workshop tracks. And we really want to equip urban leaders, people that are in this space. So if you are a pastor, a church planner, if you work at a church, if you run a nonprofit, if you're an artist, you're a leader as well. And a lot of artists that come to Flavorfest, they also are leaders at their church and serve in some capacity. Some of them are also like officially, like even the pastors and staff members. And like we have some artists here that are staff members. If you're an entrepreneur as well, and really, if you're going to be in this space, you got to have some entrepreneurial vibe to you as well. For real, if you're going to level up, if you're going to make it, we've got to be creative in this space. And so today, I want to talk to you guys a little bit, give you a little nugget of a few things and some of the stuff that we're going to talk about at Flavorfest. And I want to talk to you about growth. And some people argue and say, oh, man, some people talk about growth too much, and it's not all about growth. It's all... Listen, anything that's healthy is growing. And it doesn't always mean that numerically it's growing, but it's growing. If it's healthy, it's growing. So your church, your ministry, your organization, your nonprofit, it should be, if you're healthy, there should be some growth in some areas. There should be some things you can point to say, man, look at what God is doing with that. Look at what God is doing with this over here. Look at what's happening here. And so I want to talk about growth today for a little bit. And in specific, like Crossover Church, we've had an amazing, I get to serve as the lead pastor. I've been the lead pastor this year. It marks 20 years that I've been the lead pastor. So I'm a little older than you think, probably. So 26 years that I've been here in total. I was youth pastor for 6 years before that. So over the years, man, I've seen a lot of growth in so many different realms. But just talk about numbers. When I became the pastor 20 years ago, there was barely about 40 adults that were attending. And, today we have a couple thousand people that are a part of our church that come in person and online. There's probably even more than that. But, man, it's a lot of people that God has allowed us to touch, and a lot of people that are part of the family. And so we're in the summertime right now as I'm filming this. It's the very beginning of August, and it's kind of like right almost in the middle of summer for some people. In Florida, we're coming near the end of the summer because school starts back in a couple of weeks. But in a lot of other parts of the country, school doesn't start till after Labor Day. But it doesn't feel like we're going into fall in Florida. It'll be summer till November. So anyways, that's why I live here, man. I'm from Philly originally, but man, I love being in Tampa. So, but during the summertime, a lot of times churches will experience what a lot of people call the summer slump. The numbers go down. People are not engaged. Some people are on vacation. They're just not coming as much. They got out of rhythm, out of the habit. And so a lot of stuff in the summertime many times slows down, and there's just not as much activity happening. There's not a lot of people that are engaged during the summer. But today I want to argue for a minute and say, man, it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that. You can experience growth, even if it's not numerical, but you can experience numerical growth as well, even in the summertime of all times. Yeah. So just to give you like a little peek into my life of leading Crossover Church, and of course the past couple years has been challenging with the pandemic, and I even compare to where we were last summer. It was a much different place. You know, if you remember last summer, things were starting to really get better with the pandemic in June and July, and a lot of people weren't wearing masks anymore, and it felt like we were kind of getting back to normal. And it was more people that were starting to come back to church, you know, little by little, and we're like, okay, we're kind of coming out of this now. We all thought we're coming out of this, and then boom, the Delta strain of COVID hit later in July and August. Some parts of the country, it wasn't until September that they got it, but here in Florida, it's really like August was when it hit. So it felt like we were kind of going into this season of like, man, things are kind of getting back to normal. There's freedom. It's great. And then boom, everything kind of went back again to, oh man, we got to wear masks and be careful, and people are getting sick again, and we got to take these precautions. We got to spread the chairs out again. Right? So that's where we were last summer. So last summer, although we did see a lot of new people coming, there was definitely some growth. It wasn't like we were experiencing now in 2022, as we really seem to be coming out of the pandemic. You know, more and more. There's still people that are getting COVID, but fortunately, a lot of people that are getting it. Most people, it's just very light symptoms, and so nobody's hardly going to the hospital. We're not in the space that we were a year ago, thank God. But so this summer, we've just seen, man, this whole year, we've just seen incredible growth with more and more people coming, more and more people coming to Christ, and it's just been a steady influx, and God's moving. So this past Sunday, the last Sunday of July, was actually our largest attended Sunday this year, besides Easter. Of course, Easter is always like, that's Super Bowl Sunday, right? And this past Sunday, we didn't even have really anything special that was promoted. I mean, we did do a baby dedication, so we had a couple families that came because of that. You know, there was just a lot of new people that brought friends and family. There was a family reunion that brought some of their family with them, and so, but even just without that group of people, there was still like a lot of new people, and a lot of people were just coming to church. All those that had been visiting, I mean, more and more people have been coming. So this past Sunday, we had 32 families come to church for the first time, and that's not even including that family reunion, which there was about 25 of them that came as well. We had dozens of people that started a relationship with Christ. We had dozens of people that stood up that said, man, pray for me. I'm in a season of transition right now. The message this past weekend kind of focused on if you're in a transition season and how God works in that and sometimes moves us to save us. So you can go watch it, Crossover 813 YouTube channel. And so it's just been an amazing July. We baptized 28 people 2 weeks ago, and we've been averaging around 20 new families that are coming every week. And so to look at all that, man, it's been crazy. God is working. So what do we attribute that to? Like, how are we growing in the middle of the summer? Like, we do 2 service times, one at 10 o'clock, one at 11:45. And our 11:45 service, literally has about 100 more people coming to it, adults, than it did just a couple of months ago. Our kids ministry in January, our kids director told us was averaging around 66 kids every week between the two services. That was 6 months ago. Now we're averaging over 100 January to July. So usually it's the other way around. January is the bigger month. Everyone's coming back to church. In the summer, it kind of goes down. So it's been amazing. So how is this happening? So first of all, I'll say this. I'll say it's God's favor. But a lot of times we can just say, oh, it's just God, and we don't think behind it. Well, what are we doing that's working? What are we doing that's right? What is the strategy behind it? So God is moving, absolutely. But at the same time, God is using us because we're also being intentional, and we're working hard, and we're doing the things we should do. And when you have labor for the Lord, there's going to be fruits of it. If you sit around and you don't plan and you don't do a whole lot, you can't just expect God to always show up. And so what are we doing? I would say this. There's kind of been this word that I've heard a lot this year, and it's called stacking. And so I've heard it in a lot of different realms. I've heard like habit stacking. Maybe you've heard of that before. Put it in the chat if you've heard of a different kind of stacking. Habit stacking. And I watched this video where this lady was talking about habits that we do every day. We can tie in physical fitness things with them. So this lady was like, every day when I brush my teeth, she literally like goes and sits down against the wall. And she sits against the wall and brushes her teeth for like, 2 minutes. And at the same time, she's sitting against the wall with no chair there, and she's working on her core, and habit stacking. Every time I get ready to take a shower, I do some push-ups before I go in the shower. I actually started doing that recently, the last week or so, and I'm trying to, stay on that. I also work out, but if I can add this other, like, additional little thing, and I can begin to notch up. And so when you do one thing, you do this other thing, and you stack these habits on top of each other. So interesting concept. I was at a real estate conference 2 months ago, and they talked about this thing called credit stacking. And so where you literally will get a bunch of 0% interest credit cards, and you stack them on top of each other, and you'll get like maybe 3 or 4, and they have companies that help you do that. And you can end up borrowing $50, $60, $80, $100,000 through credit cards, which they don't even check your income or any of that stuff. They just check your credit score. And you could do that and have this big chunk of money to invest or to do maybe a real estate flip. And right now, a lot of credit cards are like, 18 to 24 months with 0% interest. So you can borrow this money at 0% interest, which is way cheaper than the bank. But you just got to make sure that you flip that thing or do whatever you're going to do with it to be able to pay that back before, the credit hits at 24% interest in 18 months or 24 months. So I'm not advertising. I'm just explaining a little bit what it is. So that's credit stacking. There's habit stacking. There's all kinds of stacking that you can do. And so I'll just say habit stacking in this case, or, ministry stacking. There's been a lot of things that we've been doing as a church that have been causing this growth to happen, even in the middle of the summer. So just a couple of those things. One is like, man, it starts with prayer. And we have a great prayer team. Our staff is praying regularly. Our prayer team is praying regularly. There's a foundation of prayer at our church. This month in August, actually, we're going to be doing a series on prayer. It's actually going to be called Gangster Prayers. And so, because we want to teach people to pray passionate prayers. And gangsters are passionate, maybe a lot of times about the wrong things. But anyways, I'm not going to explain the whole series. You gotta tune in and watch it. But so prayer, that's a foundation. And another thing that we stack on top of that is outreach. Our church is very big on outreach. We always have been. Many of you guys know us because we do this thing the last couple of years. We've become known for Love Our City. And we've helped a lot of other churches level up their outreach creatively and exponentially by doing this thing called Love Our City. And we'll be doing Love Our City at Flavor Fest, at the conference. So on Friday and Saturday, you learn during those days, and Saturday afternoon, we're going to take some of the stuff that we learned, and you're going to have a hands-on opportunity to go serve with us right here in our neighborhood, in our community. We'll be doing about 25 community service projects with the hundreds and hundreds of people that come and attend the conference. We all go hit the neighborhood, and we serve, and we love our neighbors. And we'll be giving out free tickets to people in the community for the music festival that night. And so every year we have usually around 100 or more of those tickets that are turned in from people right here in the hood that would never come and buy a concert ticket to see some of our favorite artists because they just don't know who they are. They don't have the $20 or whatever to get in the door, but they got this pass. And we tell them, hey, it's $20, but I got a free VIP ticket. Oh, yo, I'll take one. Creates that value, and they're excited. And so Love Our City is something that's in our DNA at our church. Outreach is in our DNA. Just before I jumped on this podcast, I was walking around some different parts of the building, and we have hundreds and hundreds of bags of groceries that are ready to be given out. We have 731 backpacks. We already gave out a bunch, but we have 731 left that are going to be given out at our big back-to-school jam, which is tomorrow. And we'll be serving hundreds of families, hundreds of kids, and giving them backpacks and school supplies and giving them a bag of groceries. And there's going to be all kinds of other activities that we have that are going on. So we're big on outreach in person. Back-to-school jam, our Love Our City week, our regular outreach stuff that we're doing right here in the community all the time. So that's happening in person. And then at the same time, outreach happens right here on social media. Outreach happens. Outreach happens on social media platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, through our website as well. That is a form of outreach. You got to have a good website. You have a good website, guess what? People are going to stay on it. They're going to check it out. And as you get more traffic to your website, it moves up on the Google list. And so when people move to Tampa or come to Tampa, they're like looking for a church and they Google it, your church is going to be on the first, second, or third page organically if you have a good website, if you have good traffic that's coming to it without even doing any ads. We haven't even done any ads, and our church is generally on the first or second page, and other churches spend a lot of money on that kind of stuff, and we don't even, because we just have this organic flow, because excellence is important. Our social media platforms, we do have somebody on our team that focuses just on that, and she's doing an amazing job. She's going to be at Flavor Fest. You will see her around. She will be doing some workshops and teaching as well. But social media is super important. We have people finding our church regularly because they see us on social media, because they've checked out our website, because they've watched some of our services online. Most people nowadays are going to watch some of your church service online before they're going to actually come in person. They're going to check it out. That's kind of like your front porch right there. They're going to hang out on the front porch before they actually come inside the door. So stacking, we got prayer, you got outreach. That's how we're growing. Another one is creating a culture of inviting, where there's this momentum. We have all these new people that are coming. They're excited, and people that have been around as well. There's this excitement. There's fresh blood, and we create this culture of inviting. And so we do regularly every Sunday. I'm meeting people, and I'm like, hey, how'd you hear about the church? And they're like, oh, I came with so-and-so. I came with my friend. My boss told me about it. I heard about it, and my Uber driver told me. There's a lot of that as well. Yes, there's people that find us on Google and social media and whatnot that just moved here. But then you have other people that got invited, whether they've been in the city their whole life or whether they're new. And so create that culture of inviting. Encourage people. Give them tools. Make some flyers. Make some cards. Give them some digital assets as well, some graphics that they can share on their social media platforms. Be intentional with that. So you got prayer. On top of that, you got outreach. You got this culture of inviting. And so then the people show up, and then you have to, on top of that, another layer of the stack is they got to come to a great experience. They got to feel welcomed. You have to have because You could have all that and they show up and they feel like nobody saw them. Everybody wants to be seen right now more than ever. They're looking for community. They're looking for hope. They're looking for answers. And so you want to make sure you got people there to welcome them, to serve them, to help them find a seat, to talk with them, to, if they got kids, to walk them over to the kids area, to, show them the kids area, to see if they want to check their kids in. And so then on top of that, you need to do a service in excellence. And yeah, you got to work with what you have. But again, if you keep working on that and it keeps stacking and your worship keeps getting a little bit better, and if you're the pastor, you're the preacher, you're the teacher, the communicator, you're working on your skills as a communicator, you're getting better, it's powerful messages, it's worship, there's a call to action. You want to make clear calls to action. And so people come to an excellent worship experience and God's presence is there. They're like, wow, I want to come back to that. And so again, here's the stack. So far, you got prayer, it's the foundation. You got outreach. You got a culture of inviting. You got a welcoming place. You got excellence that's happening in worship and preaching and teaching. You got calls to action, ways for people to get involved. And here's just this one last stack I want to talk about. I'm not going to keep y'all long today. I'm going to keep this at 30 minutes. That last stack is you got to have systems in place for follow-up. And urban churches generally are not great at systems. We weren't always great at systems. And I'm an artist, so I'm just like kind of organically go with the flow. But I had to learn as we began to grow, like the organic, like wing it or whatever, that ain't going to work anymore. That might work when you're small, but when you start to reach more people and you got to delegate, you got to get other people involved. You got to put other people in charge of stuff. You can't do everything, and you got to put systems in place. We had 32 first-time guests come on Sunday. How did that happen? Not by accident. We have a bunch of systems in place that have stacked up on top of each other. Ministry stacking, right? That's taking place. So what do we do with those 32 guests? We have follow-up systems that are in place. We had 17 people this past Sunday give for the first time. There's a follow-up system that's in place for that as well. What do they do next? We have a system of next steps, an assimilation system. This Sunday, first Sunday of every month, we start our 3D growth track. Our 3Ds here are discover, develop, display. That's part of our mission statement. And so we always are trying to, once people start coming and getting involved, the next step is we want to encourage them and nudge them to go to the 3D growth track. They officially become a member. They get to know, they discover what we believe biblically. They discover what our vision is. They discover some new things about themselves. They discover our history. The second week is develop. We teach them ways they can develop their walk with Christ deeper, learn to develop the gifts, talents, and skills God's given them. They take a spiritual gifts test. We see the way that they're wired. And then week 3 is display. How can you put Christ on display even better in your everyday life and right here in your new church family? Like the ways you're wired, the things that you're passionate about, how can you use that to bless others and for God to use you in incredible ways? And so at Flavor Fest this year, I'm going to be doing a breakout workshop. We got a track called Church Innovation, and I'm going to be doing a workshop track. I'm going to be doing a workshop in that track about these systems and giving you the nuts and bolts and all the details of like, how are we doing this? How are we growing even in the middle of inflation and a pandemic that's still kind of hanging around and just uncertainty and all this division in our country right now more than ever? How are we growing in a time like that, even in the middle of summer? And so we're going to talk about that in my workshop. I'm going to give you just a bunch of nuts and bolts of a bunch of things that are going on right here at our church. And there's going to be lots of other incredible workshops and general sessions and stuff to learn from. So if you are, again, if you're a church leader, if you're an artist, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a nonprofit leader, if you're a church planter, you want to be at Flavor Fest this October in Tampa, Florida at Crossover Church. It's going to be amazing. So you can go to flavorfest.org to get all the details. There is group registrations as well for everybody. And one last thing I'll share is I had this sitting next to me. So my Frames book recently came out just a couple of months ago. This will help you reframe some things. We've had a lot of people go through this, even with their small groups, with their churches. Man, it's had an amazing impact. It comes in a box. They say crossovers out the box, but the book is in a box. The frames book is in there. A pair of frames actually are in there. There's a surprise CD in there from Reach Records. There's some stickers. There's some flyers. There's some cool little goodies. On top of that, there's a masterclass. 8 videos, 8 sessions that tie in with the 8 chapters of the book. So there's a link in the description for this if you guys want to check it out, translationleadership.com. You can get the whole box kit. It is on Amazon, but you don't get the box, the glasses, CD, the goodies, all that stuff. It's just the book. So get it from us. We'll give you all the good stuff. But I hope to see you guys at Flavor Fest this October. Flavorfest.org. Go check it out. I'll be around that whole weekend. I look forward to connecting with you, building with you. It's like a big family reunion. If you've never been before, you're going to feel like you're part of the family. If you've been before, you're going to be like, man, I missed this. I needed to see my people, because it's our tribe of urban, multi-ethnic churches that are artistic, in the city, doing outreach. I mean, there's so many things that describe our unique tribe, but it's an amazing, amazing group of people. And we need to get together. Our word is revive this year. And a lot of us need to be revived from the pandemic and from everything that's happened the past few years. So make it your business to be in Tampa, Florida, and come get revived with us, fam. God bless you guys, man. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning into the Flavor Fest Urban Leadership Podcast. Stay connected with us on social media at UrbanD813 and at Flavor Fest. We'll talk to you guys next week. Peace and God bless.